Good morning. Welcome to Midweek Musings here at Trinity Heights United Methodist Church in Newton, Kansas. I'm Kent Little, pastor. It is good to have you join me, whether you're joining me live in this moment or if you find this recording on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel at a later time and date. Most importantly, I'm glad you tuned in. So it's Christmas Eve, and here at the church it's very quiet. Which is pretty normal on Christmas Eve at the church. We still have one big worship service to have in this season. I was here setting things up in the sanctuary not too long ago. I think we're all ready to go, but I kept hearing things, and I didn't know what was going on because I was the only one in the building, I thought. And then I saw the custodian, Chris. Kind of startled me. Anyway, so as per years past, Christmas Eve at the church in the mornings are generally pretty quiet. Pretty, I don't know if laid back is the right word. There's a lot of things going on in my mind right now, but I wanted to get things set up in the sanctuary. The visual illustration I'm using for our worship this evening is our quilts, and so I have a number of quilts displayed in the sanctuary. Tonight's theme for worship is of course the birth narrative. We're going to read the one out of Luke, which is probably the one, in terms of standing by itself, is probably the most familiar. Luke, we're going to talk about tonight. Luke has the journey to Bethlehem by Mary and Joseph, the inn, and not finding any room there. It has the shepherds and the angels, etc. But the birth narratives in our scripture tradition are very different. We only have two. In our four Gospels, the Gospel of Mark doesn't have any sense of a birth narrative. Mark starts out with Jesus as an adult. In John, there's really no birth narrative either, though he has this. If you're familiar with, has this poetic, what I call a poetic narrative about the beginnings and the Word. Was with God from the very beginning. So there's some sense, but not really. In terms of an actual birth narrative, there's not one in John. Some of the earliest documents in the scriptures are some of Paul's letters. Paul only mentions the birth of Jesus twice, and it's really not in terms of like Luke and Matthew. It's nothing like that. He mentions Jesus being born twice. And so really the only narratives we have in terms of details is the Gospel of Luke, which we'll be reading tonight, and then the Gospel of Matthew. And is our habit, we squish those two together. And we'll talk more about that tonight. But anyway, so kind of the thrust of my quilt image is how we take pieces of our stories and stitch them together, so to speak, to give us a larger picture. And within those stories, we also include our own traditions, our own practices. I know I grew up in a family where not so much on Christmas Eve, but certainly Christmas morning, we had a particular routine. There were things we did every year, and we knew the routine, and we knew what we were supposed to do, and we knew what we weren't supposed to do as we encountered Christmas morning. And so many of us have those family traditions. In Trudy and I's family with the boys when they were growing up, was really less about Christmas in terms of routine and tradition on Christmas morning. Christmas morning was the typical, of course the boys got up first and got us up. And of course we opened our gifts, opened our stockings, etc., and celebrated the day. In terms of a specific tradition in our family, it really more happened on that was maybe unique. I mean, I wouldn't say unique because I know a lot of other people do this too, but was on Christmas Eve. We always had Trudy makes, in my humble opinion, the world's best potato soup. I know there are a lot of good recipes out there, and but she makes really good potato soup, and my favorite kind of soup too. It's hearty. It's you can almost eat it with a fork. Literally, almost eat it with a fork. Anyway, nice and thick and hearty, and lots of bacon and potatoes. And anyway, so our tradition was the boys were going up every Christmas Eve. Especially after I went into ministry, every Christmas Eve we would have potato soup. That was our tradition. That's what we had. And so anyway, so we all have those. In addition to our faith tradition, in terms of our faith story that we tell every year, and remembering the birth of God's Son Jesus in Bethlehem, we also add to that story our own traditions and our own practices that are meaningful to us, that help bind us together as family, as friends, etc. And over the years, you don't have to look very far to see all of the different traditions that come along with Christmas time. Lots of them. There are a lot of them. And so anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. But mostly, how do we piece the story together? What's the story about? In addition to, of course, it's about Mary and Joseph in Bethlehem, giving birth to the baby Jesus, God's Son, Emmanuel, God with us. Of course, it's about that. That's the most important part. But there are a lot of other pieces in the story that point to other things that suggest that this is not a random birth. That the coming of Jesus, the coming of the Christ child, had meaning in addition to simply being God's Son. There is a purpose. Purpose not only to his birth, but there's a purpose to the story and how it's told. My English teacher just had chills run up her spine. The purpose of the story and how it's told, and who's included, the language that's used. The story was told for a purpose, and not only to share the birth of Jesus, but also, what does this mean? What does this mean? And we still can glean those meanings in today's world as well. So those are the things we're going to talk about. I hope that sounds like it could be a really long message, but it won't be. Anyway, so tonight we're going to gather. We're going to sing familiar Christmas songs. We're going to hear the story of the birth of Jesus through the lens of the author of the Gospel of Luke. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how we piece that story together in order to carry the message into the world around us. A world, I believe in these days, that needs to hear the message of what the birth of Jesus is pointing us to. So, and then we'll have we'll have communion, and then of course we'll have our candlelight moment where we will sing Silent Night together, and then we will go out and perhaps in some sense encounter a midnight clear and watch the stars go by and listen for the angels to sing. Anyway, so I'm really looking forward. Christmas Eve is one of my many favorite Sundays. It's meaningful, it's deep, and it's challenging, and it's inspiring, and I hope that it is a hopeful story for us in a world that could use a little more hope and grace and love. And so I hope you can join us tonight at 5:30 here at the church in person. If you can't be here, we are going to live stream it. Last Sunday, I understand we had a glitch with our live stream and it didn't work quite right, but we think we have that figured out again. Technology, you gotta love it when it's working right? Anyway, but we think we got that figured out, and so we do plan to live stream the Christmas Eve service at 5:30 tonight as well. If you can't be here in person, we'd love to have you here in person, of course, but if you can't be and have time and can join us online, if you would. Anyway, thank you for being here. I pray and hope you have a wonderful Christmas day and Christmas Eve, of course, that you find time to gather with friends, with family, with chosen family, with those you love and who love you. May you find grace. Mostly may you find love, with no exception. Thank you for joining me. I hope you do have a blessed day, a blessed tomorrow, and a blessed weekend as we journey through Christmas and begin looking toward a new year. God bless. Thank you for being here. Have a great day. Goodbye.